tuberculosis. The good thing is, and you may be exposed to a person, there is treatment they give you, medication you take, which is called preventative treatment, and you do not contract tuberculosis. So why are Ugandans still dying of something that you get free treatment? The drugs are available. TB funding is not relying on USAID or anything. Government of Uganda 100% funds this treatment. We've never had drug stockouts, but it is ignorance and fear of Ugandans. Because if you feel you have a cough, for some time the cough has been with you, despite the fact that people have also tested positive of tuberculosis without any cough. But if you have a cough, go get this treatment. We also have leprosy in West Nile.
Don't you think most times the public is pulled away because of the stigma that comes with tuberculosis patients and even leprosy, as you've mentioned it? There's a stigma that as a society we throw at victims who suffer from these unfortunate diseases. Don't you think it's one of the things? I
think stigma, yes, you're very right. More so the fact that with tuberculosis, almost 30% of persons living with HIV/AIDS have tested positive of tuberculosis. Reason is, when you contract HIV/AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, it lowers down your immunity. Now, because it lowers down your immunity, you're very easy for the TB germ. It creates a fertile environment for it.
And just for clarity on that, Robert, many times when someone acquires TB, they are scared that the world will perceive them as victims of HIV. So I think there's also need for sensitization that with HIV or not, someone is able to get TB.
And actually, the only reason we see that there is tuberculosis with patients of HIV, I was speaking to some expert yesterday, Dr. Ruze Henry, who happens to be the Assistant Commissioner, Ministry of Health, in charge of tuberculosis and leprosy division. And he said almost everyone is born with a TB germ. But because of because your immune system is high up there, so it doesn't overpower your immune system. Now, this is a journalist explaining science. Your immune system. So pardon me, experts, where? So when you get HIV/AIDS, now what HIV/AIDS does, it reduces, it affects your immune system. And a number of diseases are able to spring out. Because your body, the ability for your white blood cells to fight diseases is lowered. And actually, people don't die of HIV/AIDS. They die of these illnesses that have come as a result of their immune system
being
weak. Now, why we find 30% of people with TB having HIV/AIDS is because the immune system is lowered. Now, if you look at the remaining 70%, it shows that majority of people suffering with TB do not actually have HIV/AIDS. And even when you're HIV/AIDS, you just go and begin this preventive treatment. So once you test for HIV/AIDS, because your immune system may lower down and you may contract tuberculosis in case you're exposed, go and begin the preventative treatment so that you do not contract tuberculosis. So the day is today in Uganda where you commemorate World Tuberculosis Day and Leprosy Day. And with leprosy, in case you develop a sore or something you don't understand, before your fingers or certain body parts are gone, treatment is equally free. Go have this testing. Most of the times you go, you begin, it's a skin complication. Go to the national referral hospitals. They will have this test, and if it's confirmed, leprosy is treated, it is curable as well.
Thank you, Robert. For that, indeed, an awareness is very much needed. And I understand many Ugandans do not pay much heed to information such as this, yet in actual sense, it's actually helping you. And you're suffering from TB or leprosy, but you do not even know that it is what you're suffering from. And you're ultimately affecting the rest of the community and society that is near you. So it's important that you take note of this day and go test yourself. If you have TB, if that cough has been constant, go test yourself so that you save many other people and yourself as well. But with that being said, very, very crucial at that, Robert, what is in our local news today?
Well, I want to begin with artificial intelligence in our higher
AI.
institutions of learning. AI. Yeah. Now, the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has directed institutions of higher learning to adopt use of artificial intelligence by students. She, however, warned institutions of higher education to be conscious of the dangers associated with artificial intelligence to the learners. The First Lady was opening the 6th annual conference of the National Council for Higher Education in Mbarara. The First Lady, Janet Museveni, recognized the role artificial intelligence plays in the world and said Uganda and Africa should not be left behind. The conference focused mainly on adoption and integration of AI in higher institutions of learning. She pledged to support infrastructure investment that supports the use of artificial intelligence, but warned the institutions of higher education to be conscious of the dangers associated with artificial intelligence to the learners. The Executive Director, National Council for Higher Education, Professor Mary J. N. Okwaro, and the chairperson acknowledged that artificial intelligence will have to be regulated. In a keynote address, Professor Lawrence Muganga and other educationalists decried the low pace at which government is investing in AI. The conference was on the theme Challenges, Best Practices and Strategies for Artificial Intelligence Integration in Higher Education in Uganda. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Finance, Ramadhan Ngobi, has said Uganda's economy is resilient on debt sustainability. While touring roofing rolling mills facility in Namamve, Ngobi said Uganda's debt levels are among the lowest in the region, attributing it to sound microeconomic management policies. Uganda's debt to GDP ratio and overall debt sustainability are within safe limits due to sound macroeconomic management policies. During a visit to roofings, rolling mills in Namamve, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance and Planning, Emmanuel Ngobi, reaffirmed government's commitment to safeguarding investors and their businesses. He underscored the manufacturing sector in upholding Uganda's tenfold growth strategy. Roofings Group, a leading producer of quality steel products in Uganda, is currently partnering with Danelli Group of Italy to establish a state-of-art production facility at Namamve. The company aims to double production capacity to meet both local and regional demand. The new plant, valued at $100 million, is a significant upgrade from the previous production lines, offering greater efficiency and environmental sustainability. And now to the political scene and our last local story. The Electoral Commission gazetted Kawempe North MP-elect Nalukola Elias Luyimbazi. The National Unity Platform candidate Nalukola Elias Luyimbazi won Kawempe North by-election with 17,764 votes, beating 9 other candidates in the March 13, 2025 by-election. The National Unity Platform MP-elect in the 13th March Kawempe North by-election was gazetted hours after the Electoral Commission met and assured the National Unity Platform leaders that it saw no reason why Nalukola could not be gazetted. The Electoral Commission also clarified why the gazette process had delayed, noting that they were analyzing the aftermath of the election. Gazetting of MP-elect Nalukola puts to an end worries by Nalukola's supporters and advocates of democratic electoral processes. That brings us to the end of our local stories.
Well, thank you, Robert, for that update. Now let's take a look at what is on our foreign scene, and starting off with the Russia and US concluding a marathon of Ukraine war talks in Saudi Arabia's Riyadh. United States and Russian negotiators meeting in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh, concluded a 12-hour round of talks aimed at securing a partial ceasefire in Ukraine. The Russian state news agency TASS reported that Monday's negotiations had drawn to a close after more than 12 hours of call after the talks with Russia. Now, U.S. officials are to hold more talks with Ukrainian negotiators, according to a senior Ukrainian government source cited by the news agency Reuters. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he expected to seal a U.S.-Ukraine revenue-sharing deal on critical Ukrainian minerals soon, and his administration was talking to Kyiv about the prospect of U.S. firms owning Ukrainian power plants. Monday's U.S.-Russia talks were primarily focused on ending attacks on Black Sea shipping with a view to ushering in a broader ceasefire that would bring an end to the 3-year Russia-Ukraine war. U.S. officials had already met the Ukrainian team on Sunday to discuss the protection of civilian and energy infrastructure, said Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, who led his country's delegation and called the talks productive. Now, let's stay with President Donald Trump. The White House confirms that a journalist was inadvertently added to a group chat where senior U.S. officials discussed plans for a strike against the Houthi rebel group. Editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he received an invite on the encrypted messaging app Signal from an account labeled with White House National Security Advisor Michael Waltz. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is alleged to have shared details of planned military strikes in the chat group, tells reporters nobody was texting war plans. Now, Trump's national security team's chat app leak is a stunning failure, writes BBC's Anthony Zaka, and U.S. President Donald Trump says he doesn't know anything about the group chat. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer leads calls among Democrats for an investigation of the stunning breach. Now, coming to matters cutting funds still in the U.S. funding cuts will lead to an additional 2,000 new HIV infections each day and over 6 million further deaths over the next 4 years, the UN AIDS chief has warned. It would mark a stark reversal in the global fight against HIV, which has seen the number of deaths from the disease decrease from more than 2 million in 2004 to 600,000 in 2023, the most recent year for which figures are available. Now, UNAIDS Executive Director Winnie Byanyima said the U.S. government's decision to pause foreign aid, which included funding for HIV programs, was already having devastating consequences. She called on the U.S. to reverse the cuts immediately, warning women and girls were being hit particularly hard. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the pause on foreign aid for an initial 90 days on his first day in office in January as part of a review into government spending. The majority of the U.S. Agency for International Development's programs have since been terminated, and many U.S.-financed HIV treatment and prevention programs received stop work orders, leading to the closure of mother and baby clinics in Africa and severe shortages of life-saving antiretroviral, that is ARVs, medicines. And Ms. Byanyima said she feared a return to the 1990s when HIV medication was scarcely available in poorer countries and infections and deaths soared. The U.S. has for years been the single biggest funder of HIV treatment and prevention, and Ms. Byanyima thanked Washington for its generosity and humanity. Well, now let's look at what is in the press, Robert.
We'll begin with the Daily Monitor this morning, where it is very clear, fresh fight over Umeme buyout. Now, very interesting figures here. Who is saying what? The Daily Monitor brings you more of this. I can see here we have the Auditor General, the Auditor General Tech, 732 billion shillings, money that the Auditor General, given his name, says the electricity distributor Umeme should be paid. Now, who is saying what? We have the buyout, still 853 billion, the buyout amount that the electricity distributor Umeme seeks from government. Still, we call complaints, the money electricity Regulation Authority also says umeme should be paid. Now, there is so much regarding this buyout. How much are we going to have to give in as a country? Well, the Daily Monitor brings you some breakout and the controversies where they are. Namagunga, people swear in new prefects, and we have tenders. Bank of Uganda, Uganda Revenue Authority with hunger project. There is also tenders there, Ministry of Finance and also ABI. Tenders are there for you. So in case you are, you never know, this could be your long awaited for opportunity to supply any of these. Now, away from the Daily Monitor, we also look at what the New Vision is having for us this morning. A government takes over fees collection in public schools. Now, what does that mean to you, a parent? Well, the New Vision brings more. And interesting in politics here, Nambi congratulates Narukola. Well, there's a picture of the two, Nambi in yellow and Narukola there with the check chat. He was gazetted and soon awaiting swearing in as the Member of Parliament for Kawempe North after winning the by-election. Now we have UPDF officers promoted, 500 of them were promoted, and we see them being pimped here, usually done by their spouses, and that is what is happening here. HIV teens fight against stigma, and Lubowa Hospital project not stopped. Well, the New Vision also brings you more stories there, but of course you can get that when you buy yourself a copy. Yes, Julie.
Yes, indeed. Now let's look at the Citizen, and right there with the Citizen is fish trade, why coastal regions trail lake zone. And while fish trade in the lake zone totaled to 66.5 billion shillings during the quarter ended September 2024, it was only 38.4 billion shillings in the southeastern zone, which comprises Coast, Lindi, Mtwara and Tangra regions. But still in the Citizen, we can see the question, who is new to Aweza head Anna Bwana? And Tanzania, Kenya, not economic rivals, says Amson's chief. And in the Citizen, still celebrating women, Beatrice, Angela and Alinda, and how they are transforming entertainment. That is in the Citizen. But let's also look at what is in the Daily Nation. And in there is Uhuru's 26 billion shilling CBC blunder. That is in the Daily Nation. But also looking at from power to prison. That is in the Daily Nation, what I have learnt about life and friends. And still in the Daily Nation, Kupet coup on Kenat as 46,000 junior school teachers join union. And finally, looking at crime and politics with crime, Kanja promises impartial probe following man's fatal shooting by bodyguard of top state house aide. And looking at the politics, Kawira Mwangaza, My Ulster is Ruto's only finished project in Meru. That is it in politics, and that is in the Daily Nation, but it also wraps up what we have in today's press, bringing us to that time where we get to enjoy a song on Good Morning Uganda from One Direction. Good Morning Uganda does continue, so stick around because we have a conversation on the closure of the Karuma Bridge for yet the second time shortly after it was done so last year, at the end of last year. And also in the agenda, we'll be having a conversation on women. So stick around because there's still more. Here's One Direction.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
You gotta help me.
And a number of diseases are able to spring out because your body, the ability for your white blood cells to fight diseases is lowered.
Yeah.
And actually people don't die of HIV/AIDS. They die of these illnesses that have come as a result of their immune system
Being weak.
Now, why we find 30% of people with TB having HIV/AIDS, it's because the immune system is lowered.
Weak, yeah.
Now, if you look at the remaining 70%, it shows that majority of people suffering with TB do not actually have HIV/AIDS. And even when you're HIV/AIDS, you just go and begin this preventive treatment. So once you test for HIV/AIDS, because your immune system may lower down and you may contract tuberculosis in case you're exposed, go and begin the preventative treatment so that you do not contract tuberculosis. So the day is today in Uganda where you commemorate World Tuberculosis Day and Leprosy Day. And with leprosy, in case you develop a sore or something you don't understand, before your fingers or certain body parts are gone, treatment is equally free. Go have this testing. Most of the times you go, you begin, it's a skin complication. Go to the national referral hospitals. They will have this test, and if it's confirmed, leprosy is treated, it is curable as well.
Thank you, Robert. For that, indeed, an awareness is very much needed. And I understand many Ugandans do not pay much heed to information such as this, yet in actual sense, it's actually helping you. And you're suffering from TB or leprosy, but you do not even know that it is what you're suffering from. And you're ultimately affecting the rest of the community and society that is near you. So it's important that you take note of this day and go test yourself. If you have TB, if that cough has been constant, go test yourself so that you save many other people and yourself as well. But with that being said, very, very crucial at that, Robert, what is in our local news today?
Well, I want to begin with artificial intelligence in our higher institutions of learning, AI. Yeah. Now, the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has directed institutions of higher learning to adopt use of artificial intelligence by students. She, however, warned institutions of higher education to be conscious of the dangers associated with artificial intelligence to the learners. The First Lady was opening the 6th annual conference of the National Council of Higher Education in Mbarara. The First Lady, Janet Museveni, recognized the role artificial intelligence plays in the world and said Uganda and Africa should not be left behind. The conference focused mainly on adoption and integration of AI in higher institutions of learning. She pledged to support infrastructure investment that supports the use of artificial intelligence, but warned the institutions of higher education to be conscious of the dangers associated with artificial intelligence to the learners. The Executive Director, National Council for Higher Education, Professor Mary J. N. Okwaro, and the chairperson acknowledged that artificial intelligence will have to be regulated. In a keynote address, Professor Lawrence Muganga and other educationalists decried the low pace at which government is investing in AI. The conference was on the theme Challenges, Best Practices and Strategies for Artificial Intelligence Integration in Higher Education in Uganda. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Finance, Ramadhan Ngobi, has said Uganda's economy is resilient on debt sustainability. While touring roofing rolling mills facility in Namamve, Ngobi said Uganda's debt levels are among the lowest in the region, attributing it to sound microeconomic management policies. Uganda's debt to GDP ratio and overall debt sustainability
and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning once again. Welcome on board. If in case you are just joining us, you haven't missed out a lot because we are talking matters Karuma as it was closed again yesterday for purposes of repairs, and we are delving into that conversation with an expert who will be telling you the facts of the matter before you actually go ahead to engage in more conversation with whoever you're with just allegations that are not from the horse's mouth. So welcome. Thank you so much for being on UBC TV here to inspire you. My name is Julie F. Nantaba Musisi, and I am with Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono. Good morning, Robert, once again.
Good morning to you, and of course we need to welcome our guest who is on phone. That is Alan Sempe, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Works and Transport, as we'll be looking at that is the closure of Karuma and Ayago bridges, that is on the Kampala-Gulu Highway, which is to facilitate scheduled installation of expansion joints.
Yes, indeed.
Now, Alan.
Yes, please.
Welcome to the show, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning, Robert. How are you doing today?
Very fine. Now, first things first. This is the second
please.
time that we are seeing Karuma in particular being closed again, effective yesterday. What is the closure all about?
Thank you very much. Again, maybe to give you a background, but also remind our viewers and listeners that this may seem to be another closure, and it's what has been coming through. Again, Karuma is being closed again. It's being closed again. And what are these people up to? Now, we did last year at the opening of the bridge, we did, that time it was the Honorable State Minister for Works, Honorable Musa Echweru, did clearly state to the stakeholders who graced the activity at the opening at Karuma that we are only opening to relieve traffic for the festive season. If you remember very well, we're heading into a festive period, and there was need to create that relief and, you know, ensure that people can reconnect with their loved ones, because they would hardly cross at that point because we were undertaking works. So we allowed the buses and small light vehicles to cross, although we didn't allow the bigger trucks to continue using the road because we had not fully completed the rehabilitation works. So it was a decision taken by government, and in good faith, to allow the public and the people reconnect with their loved ones during this festive season. So we did say we'll come back later in the new year and close the bridge to be able to fix, to be able to install some other components of the bridge that had not been installed. So that is what we are now doing, and yesterday we did enforce this closure, and all traffic was diverted to alternative routes.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Alan, for that. Now, to you who's watching us, in case you have questions for Alan or opinions or something to suggest, the number to send your WhatsApp is 0709 602 592. Now, Alan,
Yes, please.
is there an estimated timeline for when the repairs will be completed?
Yes, our technical teams have given us a period between 2 to 3 weeks. Or better still, we hope that before the long Easter holiday, we shall have opened the bridge to traffic. And all nature of traffic this time. Remember, by the way, that the bridge has been open to only light traffic or light vehicles, the buses and the small cars. And the trucks, trailers continue to use the longer routes. So the joints are now going to enable us have all nature of traffic come back on the road and use this bridge. Because what these joints do is they help, they help enhance the structural integrity of the bridge. They allow the bridge to expand and contract, during, because the bridge is exposed to different loads, and temperatures. So the function of these joints is to enable the bridge structure be able to expand and contract during these moments of temperature changes, ensuring that it does not collapse or get further damaged. So that's why we could not have large trucks use it before these joints were actually installed. And now that they're going to be installed, we shall have all nature of traffic, everybody passing. And it's going to be enhanced, by the way, with proper guardrails, so that this time, if a vehicle hits the guardrails, it should be able to bounce back onto the road than falling into the waters, like it has been happening before. We're going to also install lighting on the entire bridge crossing, so that we're able to see ahead of the road and where they're heading. So yes, these are some of the enhancements we've put on this rehabilitation to ensure that it can be able to serve the population up until we have a new bridge at that location.
Now, Alan, the concern of many travelers is what alternative routes have you provided? And when you talk about the Masindi port ferry, it at times had challenges. Has it been repaired? Is it fit to transport people? Because that is one of the many alternative routes that someone can use. So what alternative routes?
Yes, again, to go through the alternative routes, first of all, again, to give it to government that there has been, in such a situation, we have alternatives on our road network. Usually when we have such a situation and you have no alternative, you can imagine the dilemma our moving traffic will be encountering. For example, when we had the situation of damage of the road along the Kampala-Masaka highway, we're able to divert traffic onto the Mpigi Canon Sembabule Villa Maria Road. So this is to give it up to government of Uganda for the foresight on ensuring that we are able to have an expanded road network. And in such a situation where we have a crisis, we have alternatives. Now here again, we have alternatives that we've given the general public. One is to use the Kampala Gulu Highway, that's via Luwero, Kafu, Masindi, then you go through the Maction Falls National Park, you turn off on the left to Masindi, then go to Maction Falls National Park, to Pakwach, and then you proceed up to the deeper West Nile region. Alternatively, turn on the right at Tangi Junction, turn off on the right to use the Gulu or Rio through Anaka and then proceed to Gulu. Secondly, now that is the route through the park. It has its restrictions. Why? Because you are required to drive under 40 kilometers per hour because of the wildlife in the concentration in that along that route. But also, you are not permitted to cross before, rather after 7 p.m. because it will be unsafe for you, but also unsafe for the animals. If you don't hit the animal may actually hit you. So for safety of either parties, crossing is not permitted beyond 7 p.m. So you make sure that you're there before 7 p.m. to be able to cross through the park. But it's a smooth, very nicely done road, and I can say it is actually tarmacked as well. That was completed recently. So it is helping us during this period of repairs on Karuma. Then the other is what you brought out, the Masindi port vessels. Again, we've had one vessel plying along that crossing, but for this period of time, government has also put another vessel, and before closure, the Minister of Works and Transport, together with the technical teams, have been working so hard to ensure that the second vessel is on board, repaired, and we have two vessels along that crossing. That is from Renkunye. Renkunye is just off Kampala Gulu Highway. You turn off on the right-hand side, about 5 kilometers, and you go to the area, to the location of these two vessels, and they will cross you from Renkunye to the other side of Apache. Then you can proceed to Lira sub-region or the Lango sub-region. So these vessels are now ready, and the work we had over the last couple of weeks is to ensure that they're repaired, they're in good shape, and able to receive the diverting traffic.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. And we are discussing the state of the Karuma bridge, which was closed. And we've been using the statement again, but Alan has corrected us to state that it's a continuation from the initial closure that had taken place in the bit of last year, but was reopened for people to be able to celebrate the holidays with their family. And at the reopening for that short period, it was only light vehicles that were allowed to access the road, and it was closed to continue repairing it yesterday. And he's giving us an update of the state, of its state, and what routes to take and how we should handle it as citizens as the repairs take place. Now, 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number for you to send in your question, opinion, or what you have in mind. Alan, allow me stay still on the routes. How will the closure affect traffic, especially for those who use it daily?
Yes, thank you again. It is without a doubt affecting connecting traffic, because as you know, this is one of the main trade routes or connectivity routes that is not just a national connection but also an international link, connecting us beyond just the northern region, Gulu, Lira sub-region, rather Lango sub-region and the Acholi sub-region, but further to countries like the DRC and the Southern Sudan. So you can imagine this is a critical connection. So it is a very critical asset of our road network, and we know that closure or anything that affects or disrupts connectivity along this bridge does affect us, not just socially connecting with our people and loved ones, but also economically affects the money pass of this country. And this is why government undertook a diagnostic study on this bridge to ascertain the health and the condition of this bridge, to check the temperatures, to check the functionality. And indeed we ascertained that components of this bridge had been severely damaged and needed to be replaced, and the bridge by extension rehabilitated. So government mobilized resources and the teams to make sure that we undertake this very critical assignment, because before we have a new bridge there, we have an existing one. So what do you do when you have an elderly person? Do you stop saying, let this person die? No, you take them to hospital, check their blood pressure, check their sugar levels. That is what exactly the government of Uganda undertook. And that shows you the commitment of the government towards its people. That other than waiting for, and again, some people actually came out and said, where is this infrastructure? Where has government been? I mean, if the unthinkable had happened, just imagine. If the unthinkable, you've seen places where bridges collapse and it is disaster with the traffic on the bridge, with people on the bridge. So, and imagine we have raging waters under that bridge, you know, that waters of the Nile. So if the unthinkable had happened before this solution had been put out, you can imagine the regret and the frustration of Ugandans that they would have against the Ministry of Works and Transport, and by extension, government of Uganda. So again, we give it up to the government for this consideration, for this proactive measure to ensure that the road infrastructure is kept alive.
Yes, Alan, thank you. Talking about government's commitment to its people is a very good thing. But also one thing that I'm interested in, Alan, when you talk about the ferry, there's been concerns, time of departure. It's programmed, and some people say, well, we are in business and movement shouldn't be restricted. Then also, it is said that this is supposed to be free of charge. Confirm to Ugandans that are going to be taking these ferries, times and also costs, if at all they are there.
Thank you. Yes, maybe also to give you a background, all our ferries across the different water bodies are free of charge. And I can state that again, these vessels are free of charge. And why are they? Government has considered them as an extension of the road network. They are roads themselves. And that is why even when we have situations of emergency, crisis, I mean, just like we run in very quickly to restore connectivity to the road, we must ensure that these ferries are up and running on a daily basis, and the government of Uganda using taxpayer money, has said people shall not be paying, but will be crossing free of charge. So nobody is going to ask you for a coin or a paper note. Nobody on these vessels. They transport people free of charge. And now ours is to ensure that they are maintained. There are moments when we ground them and maintain them. Tell people that, you know what, we will be grounding this vehicle for maintenance, like any other machine or vehicle. You pull it off the road and service it, maintain it, replace some parts, oil it, so it can give you do a good job for you. So likewise, even these vessels, at times we take them off the road for about a period of 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the nature of maintenance we have to undertake, and we resume connectivity. So they must be operating on a daily basis, unless in moments when we have to pull them off the waters to service and maintain them, to keep them in shape and running.
Now, Alan, in regards to paying for the roads, allow me read a comment from Muhimbura Benon, who says, "Good morning, UBC Uganda. Thank you for the program. Personally, I appreciate the government efforts the efforts the government is putting on Karuma because it's to better service delivery in Uganda. However, the alternative route, the Park Road, last time when people were operating to and from West Nile within course of the time, payment for the road use was enforced, which affected our travel." So his question is, how organized are the relevant ministries to favor citizens traveling to and from West Nile region? That is from Benon, Muhimbura.
Okay, I think it's about the thinking that these routes shall be, like, for example, the route through the Makshan Falls National Park, people will have to pay. Is that what he's trying to say?
Yes.
People will have to pay to access?
Yes.
Okay, now again, in situations like this, there's been an understanding within government that to relieve pressure and traffic volumes of the diverting traffic, we allow people to cross freely through the park without paying for only this period of time when we have a crisis on our hands or a situation on our hands. So the relevant players, stakeholders supporting us through the park, the Uganda Wildlife Authority, by extension Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, are aware of this, and crossing through the park is therefore permitted at no cost during this period alone.
All right, thank you very much. On that note, allow me ask you, how will the public be kept in the loop, informed constantly about the progress of the repairing of the bridge?
Yeah, thank you. We have, again, a communications plan, a small one really, that we put together to support communications during this period of closure. First of all, before the closure, we've been reminding the public about the impending closure, and during, we also have a program to alert you of the ongoing works, what is being done at the moment, running towards opening of the bridge. So we'll also be alerting you and showcasing the ongoing works. For example, I can tell you that yesterday our teams did share with us when we went on ground and said that by Friday this week, these joints shall have been installed, and they will allow, again, this is a technical arrangement, allow the workings or the treatment they have done to cure. So they give it a couple of days, about 21 days for this work to cure and get stable before we can actually open it up to traffic. So that gives us together a total of about 3 weeks or even less that we anticipated. So towards that period of opening, we shall again alert the public that the bridge is open. So we'll be in your ears, we'll be wherever you are, we'll be on UBC TV and all other channels of communication, including the socials, alerting Ugandans on what is actually happening. We don't want to keep you in the dark, definitely. And this is our role, to keep you informed, and on our part, being transparent does not cost us a thing at all, because this is public work and this is your asset, so I must keep you informed. So there is no holding information from you, the general public, but keeping you updated. And this is what we shall do.
Now, Alan, if you're at liberty to reveal, or if you know, after these repairs, what is then the longevity of this bridge Because it's almost coming to a century of existence.
Sorry, I lost you at the beginning.
After the repairs that we are talking about,
Yes.
what is the estimated longevity of the bridge? Because this is something that is almost making a century since it was made, yes.
Okay. Yes, like I did say, you do not condemn an elderly person to the unthinkable or to the worst. What you do is to keep them in shape, check their body temperature, condition routinely to ensure that they are stable and are able to live even much longer, So, and this asset is our loved asset, it's our beloved asset, definitely. And this is why we undertook that diagnostic study to ascertain the condition it is in and immediately make interventions. The government of Uganda committed funds to undertake the needed interventions, knowing the criticality of this asset along that route and the significance it has on our lives, social lives, but also economic life of this country. So we now hope that with this enhanced, remember I have actually shared with you that we've enhanced the strength of this bridge. We have put in new components of this bridge. We have put safety measures on this bridge, including the really strengthened guardrails and the lighting that we're going to put across the bridge, which we didn't have before. So this to serve us up until, in fact, we know that even can take us up to the next 25 years. But by that time, we'll already have built our new bridge, because we know, or as you may know already, that the Japanese government has already indicated commitment and will to finance a new bridge at this location. And the discussion, financial negotiation is currently underway. After which that is done, procurement will be done to get us a contractor that will build a new bridge within that location, similar to a way that we did a bridge along the Nile in Jinja. It will not be similar design, but it will be a bridge over the Nile. So we're also looking forward to that with anticipation.
All right, thank you very much.
So what we are rehabilitating should be able to take this bridge for a much longer life. This old person of ours should be able to take us for some time. Should live for some time. So because we want to keep taking care of this person up until they can't serve us no more. But by that time, we'll have had a new bridge at that location.
Right. I love the layman that you're using to drive these points home. Allow me also ask, are there any government or private entities involved in this current work? And if so, what is their role? What role are they playing?
Government, first of all, represented by the Ministry of Works, is undertaking the general supervision of works, communication, the facilitation for workers, the payments. So, of course, we give it up to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for availing the funds, because in the previous months, couple of months, we've not been solid in terms of finances, but finance has committed to pay the contractors to ensure that they can undertake this very critical assignment. The others are the contractors. It's a joint venture between China Railway Number 7 Group and our own company here, known as the National Economic NEC. NEC, the economic wing of the UPDF, National Enterprise Corporation. So that's the local entity in a joint venture with the foreign company. The other stakeholders, we could say, is UA, who we operate alongside, because they're taking on the diverting traffic. So whenever we have a situation on our hands, we inform them ahead of time to prepare for the same. So that is the working arrangement that we have. The other is with the leaders, local leadership, keeping them informed and updated. And without a doubt, members of the Fourth Estate. Because without you on ground, we can never reach and have this message amplified as far as we intend it to be amplified.
Very happy you used members of the Fourth Estate. We are in an era of the Fifth Estate, which is usually a mess, but relying on the Fourth Estate. There you have the right information. Now, Alan, also the concern of the public is, what assurance are you giving them that this may not take longer than expected?
Again, because we have undertaken advanced preparations, we did not want to start, for example, before the repairs vessels at Masindi Port is done, it's complete. At some point, we postponed the closure. Deliberate. It was very intentional. We postponed the closure and we didn't inform Ugandans that allow us prepare ourselves, allow us have these vessels ready, prepared and fully in a safe action and situation before we can roll out. But allow us resources, because the resources, because the contractor will not be required to be on site. How will he pay for the materials? How will he pay for the workers that have to work? So until we were ready, we then came out and said we are now effecting closure. That is why we didn't start at the beginning of the year, much as we had anticipated to start at the beginning of the year as early as January. We allowed ourselves Jan passed, February passed, but by yesterday we were actually ready to move. And we've been doing, you don't know the amount of work, follow-ups, the messages, the correspondences that have been ongoing behind the scenes to ensure that we are prepared for this task. So by commencing on this task, we know that we're prepared and we should run within the scheduled time.
All right. Thank you, Alan, for that. And as we start to bring this to a close, allow me read a comment from Robert Okello, who is watching from Yumbe Town Council. And he says that we love all of you for informing us. I'm really impressed with Alan's explanation. It's very clear and not political. It leaves us saying that we are comfortable with it. That is a comment from Okello Robert in Yumbe District. And hello UBC, may I know, Mr. Alan, how safe are the workers? This is from Bernard Olema. Yes, Alan, how safe are the workers?
Yes, that's I appreciate that the gentleman has referred to the safety of workers. It's a very critical aspect of our works, ensuring that people are safe. I was on site yesterday together with the team, and I was witnessing these people working, because they started works immediately we effected the closure, and they were already down to the work. And definitely that should be should stand out and should be taken careful consideration when we're undertaking these works. So the contractors ensured that the safety of workers is equally taken into consideration. And I saw everybody in the proper gear yesterday. And over time, this is what they've actually been implementing. Right from the time we started these operations, they were concerned of safety, and the contractor took it very seriously to ensure that people work under a safe environment. I can tell you that it's not as easy working along that bridge. And to the members of the public, if you're told not to cross as works are ongoing, please take heed and don't cross, because it is a work section, but also an unsafe section for you. While we have secured our workers, we may not secure you as well, because you're not part of the contractor or the work team. And I can tell you, for example, that that area is with very dangerous replicas I saw for with my eyes yesterday. So the public must be secured, and that is why we do not allow you to cross or get closer to the site. And our teams are equally secured to be able to encounter these situations. Because as you know, works are ongoing and there is really terrible raging waters under that bridge. So people must be secured. They have the right gear. At least I witnessed that with my own eyes. Yes. And I pray that they do not fall back on this, but they can maintain this until the end of the works.
All right, thank you very much, Alan. That is Alan Sempewa, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Works and Transport, and he has been bringing us up to speed on the emergency repairs taking place at the Karuma Bridge. Hopefully you have been well informed with that, and he has left us indeed with that parting shot that while the Ministry of Works, the government is playing their part, even as the public, we must make it easy for the process to take shape. Thank you very much, Alan, and thank you so much for viewing this and watching the show Good Morning Uganda. Good Morning Uganda does continue, so stick around. Up next is GMU Tourism Express.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Juko. Yo.
Wachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange. Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
I thought I had seen it all until I landed on Dolwe Island. This morning we are coming live to you from Dolwe Island, and this is the Golofa stone that he has been telling us about. Previously we've been with Mr. Gabriel. He has given us a history about Dolwe Island. He's taken us through Kandege stone. He's taken us through the other side of Golofa, which only showed us the landmarks. Now, this is where the name originates from, Golofa, and we are yet to discover what's more that Dolwe Island has, especially regarding Golofa. My name is Zakia Laki, and welcome on the GMU Tourism Express.
Yes, Mr. Gabriel, please take us through Golofa. Yeah, my name is Gabriel Discharge. I'm a conservator on Dolwe Rock outside. And then with this next site of Golofa. And as you see these rocks here all over, they are arranged on the other. You think that there is a certain giant who was playing with them. But however, it was just the volcanicity and the others, as you know, the formation of the rocks. And now we have real now Golofa. As you see, Golofa means a storage, a building. Or in Uganda we say Karina, but that is in our local dialect. In Teluya, Sania, whatever you call it, Golofa, meaning. And now, here, where we are standing is now that we can say the basement of it, where it starts. And then we also going to hike up and then reach the real Golofa. It is a good shelter. It is among the best shelters, the rock shelter that we have on this island, where the ancestors used to stay. And as you saw also this also has some paintings outside, but it's also a sign of something erased, and then there is arrangement format of it, because you cannot just reach there. But this is where the name of Gorofa of this fishing village emanates from. However, it was also chosen strategically for security purpose, because as you know, during those days when they used to stay under the caves, there were a number of animals. But now it would take some time, or not even an animal would manage to reach up there. However, we shall reach and see how it is decorated. There were paintings. There is a gong that sounds like a xylophone. Before intervention of the drums, they used to enjoy the music and even communicate. Because for those of the modernity today, the 21st century, I think that those people did not have that time for enjoyment. They used to enjoy, entertain themselves, and even communicate. That gong is there. It produces a number of sounds, and we are going to play it. It is also, as we say, it is a shelter. We're also going to see how is it formed, and we're also going to see a chair of the head of the community who used to stay also there. After being inside for entertainment, relaxing, we'll also come out and then sit at the balcony and enjoy, see the environment, how it gets pressure, and then the life moves on like that. But this is so strategic, and it is our number one point here on the rock art on the island. Thank you. Yes, here we are in Gorofa, the rock shelter. But with us here, we have the chairperson, the local tourism community. You know, as the Minister of Tourism, we thought it better that conservation can't be made by the central government, but just to put the effort with the community so that they can safeguard what belongs to them. And he's also here with us. He's called the Juma Seka Saidi Juma. He's also Seka, and he has been here for a long time. We have been working together, seeing that we can safeguard, conserve, and preserve the heritage. Yeah. However, as we said down there, we have just been down at the balcony, actually at the basement. We have been at the basement down, but we have now reached and entered the real Gorofa. Gorofa, as we said, that means a storage building. And here where we are now, we are in the building itself. And when it rains, cats and dogs, you don't get wet. It is a very safe place where our ancestors used to stay. And also, as you know, that in the house today, people decorate. That idea actually did not begin recently, but it began sometime. And so one would paint his or her house according to the choice. And now, these people painted here the paintings. The whole of this, the whole of this roof, when you look at it, you're going to see the several paintings. And even this wall here, you're going to see. They also, actually, these are the remains, what they left behind. Yes, we have here the clamp that used to hit trapped animals, when you see here. We also have, we have one here that is like, there is one here, there's one here that runs like an arrow also, they were using in hunting. And then beside the other side, there is like people, you see some of these, the paintings. We have also others that also signified the bollards here. You know, specifically, these paintings are signified what they used to do, actually. And as we said, this is a room, we call it a rock shelter. It's the most beautiful rock shelter on this island that we have. But it is a 3-in-1. It is a rock shelter. It has the paintings, severally, the whole of the roof and the wall. And then it has also the gong. After here, we are going to play the gong. After playing the gong, we are going to go at the balcony to see where the head of the community used to sit after actually being inside, and would go at the balcony to relax and see the environment. Also, we are going to it. However, may we head to the gong to play it. Now here we are at the gong, and this is a music instrument before intervention of the drums. They used to play this, and we are going to feel the sound. I give us a better song. Yes, once again, you most welcome, and I always say that this is the seat where the head of a community used to sit actually at the balcony to enjoy the beautiful environment after sitting inside there or after having the entertainment. And he chose specifically this point here for security purpose, strategically, because he cannot be invaded or attacked from behind. That's why he would sit in between of these rocks and even guard the other side. And even today, you always see the head of states, others, when they're going to address people, besides them, they put maybe a very big vehicle or what, a block, you get, for security purpose. It's not just for design or fun, but that is it actually even up to this point where we are. Yeah, and this is the whole of it, the balcony of this Gorofa, as you see it today. You're most welcome, and thank you.
You stopped one of the people from touching the roof of the stone. Why are they not allowed to touch?
The reason why we would not allow people to touch there, because we want to leave those paintings to be intact the way they were until the generation to see. It's a way of preserving them, because we use a lot of oil, and now those oils that people smear, they have chemicals, and the more we keep on touching, the more they fade, and then we shall lose them. Yes.
So the history is not even far away from what we are still doing today. Like he explained how leaders are protected. It's just the same way like how the community leader was protected here. If you think you've seen it all, Dolwe Island is another place for you to explore. So it's high time you start saving your monies and get to visit this place. It just gives a very clear view, beautiful scenic that you would take even all those beautiful pictures that you would envision to take somewhere else out of the country. So make it a point to stick with us. We've taken you through Dolwe Island and still exhausting what's here. Stick with us until next time. See you tomorrow.
Welcome back from Dolwe in Mulungu, in Muwango Island, and my highlight there was the singing stones. Now I love music, and if I were to have maybe a band, say a rock band, I think I would name it Musical Stones, inspired by the stones, the stones in Dolwe. Very inspiring and very, very beautiful. Julie F. Nantabamusisi is my name. Let's now come to matters business on GMU Business, and we are starting with matters home economics. The Home Economics Professionals Association has appealed to government to support active and retired home economics teachers. The association members said that the contribution of home economics teachers to Uganda's education sector is significant, yet their efforts are not recognized. The event brought together legendary figures that introduced and developed home economics as a subject in Uganda. Their legacy was highlighted through exhibitions of cooking, textile work, and crafts by students demonstrating the practical impact of home economics education. Now, during the celebrations, HEPA leadership emphasized the need for government to intervene, pointing out that many home economics teachers struggle with financial and social support despite their long service. They urged policy makers to recognize home economics teachers as key contributors to national development, to integrate the subject more prominently within the education system. Stakeholders at the event stressed that structured government support, including pension benefits and professional recognition, would not only uplift retired teachers, but also encourage young educators to pursue careers in home economics. They believe that a stronger focus on the subject will equip students with essential skills for daily life and future employment. This particular one actually reminds me of my home economics teacher in my high school, Mr. Ronald Job Kawoya. Very great teacher at that, and I love the subject. But let's move on to matters agriculture. And agriculturalists have called for increased collaboration between government and the private sector to address challenges in Uganda's agriculture system. The call was made during a Chirimo Trust media breakfast meeting in Kampala. Uganda experiences high levels of food insecurity, malnutrition, and reliance on rain-fed agriculture. But experts have called for comprehensive strategies to enhance food production with specialized farming tailored to each region to address the socio-economic factors contributing to food insecurity in Uganda. Agriculturists are optimistic that with the adoption of climate-smart agricultural practices and better post-harvest handling techniques, Uganda can reduce its food import gap by up to 20%. The 2024 National Housing and Population Census figures at Uganda Bureau of Statistics shows that 17 million Ugandans, roughly 35% of the country's population, live in urban centers. This urban migration has created a high demand for food, putting pressure on farmers to meet specific needs. Now moving on to cattle wrestling. A section of cattle keepers from Gomba district who claim to have lost their cattle during the 2006 war in the Democratic Republic of Congo are appealing to the president of Uganda to engage his Congolese counterpart for compensation. The herdsmen say the compensation process has dragged on for years without any tangible progress. They appeal to the Ugandan government to push for a resolution to their long-lasting demand. Now let's look at what the forex rates look like today. And as of 24th March 2025, the US dollar opened at 3,660.00, buying and selling at 3,670.00. And by midday, it had dropped a bit of value with buying at 3,659.86 and selling at 3,669.82. And by close of day, it was buying at 3,659.82, dropping value there, and selling at 3,669.82. Now looking at the pound was buying at 4,727.75 and selling at 4,740.67. The euro was buying at 3,961.38 and selling at 3,972.21. The Kenyan shilling was at 28.29, increasing a bit of value there, and selling at 28.37. And the Tanzanian shilling was at 1.38 and selling at 1.38. The South African rand was buying at 200.77 and selling at 201.31. That ends today's GMU business segment, but up next is the agenda, and we are talking matters women, especially women's welfare at their places of work.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondolo. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth,
A world where every story matters. There exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Before I joined the Emyoga program, I was ignorant about income generating scheme. I was financially poor, but through Emyoga, when I was elected to become the secretary of the circle, I started gaining skills and knowledge on financial management. When we received the money, I borrowed 2,700,000. With that money, I was able to buy 2 cows. Some balance, I was able to improve on my citrus because it was affected so badly. Part of it, I put it on poultry because I knew that poultry is another place that I can invest money. Because poultry has a quick return. We sell it at any time. Before, the orange was really affected by the virus, and I was not able to spray. But when I got the money, I focused on it, had to get labor to help me soften the trees, spray, remove the sick one and bury. So when I did that, there was improvement in the tree. It was no longer getting those diseases. But the first time I got the good yield, that made me get 2,600,000. That was between February and March. And I continued getting up to now. There's continuous harvest. If it was not through Emyoga support to improve on it, I wouldn't have got that money. In my circle, I have 17 associations, and I have a total of 117 members. So being women entrepreneurs, we have created other activities that can earn us income, like drying eggplants and packaging. We have also managed to have cassava chips, that's a high quality. Packet can be milled and then also mixed with cowpea flour to make bagia that can be packed for children for school. We also have sodium bicarbonate, abalang. People have been just neglecting those things, but in the community, if you don't have, you cannot prepare a magira. We have also initiated that, putting it in the box, then also labeling or branding. It fetches us money, daily income. We have different products made from different associations, but all, when we meet, we advise one another and we visit one another to see how each association works. There are those who do piggery, some do poultry, some do the sales of clothes. Their lives have changed because before, some of them were not doing any business. But when this seed capital came, that's when they started thinking what to do. And when we meet, we always encourage. Being a woman, you need to have money. You need to have an activity that you do to fetch you what? Money. After me clearing the first loan, I got another loan. Still to put on more on poultry and also saving on other investments so that I get more money. But I found that I was improving. Life was becoming cheap. And from there, as I was getting from the orange sales, we wanted to construct a rental place for investing or to sustain our income generating activity. That's when we constructed the house, and we're still continuing, but we're left with a few areas to finish. And our stay in the family is very good. We no longer have conflicts. I'm peaceful with my husband. We plan together. Life has improved. We can get money at any time. Diet has improved. I passed through hardship, getting money where a month you would not handle 10,000, but now a week is too much. So I send my thanks to the President of Uganda for having thought of Emyoga, an initiative for job creation and wealth. Indeed, in my circle, women have become beautiful, they have become knowledgeable, they have become exposed. Being the secretary of the circle, it has also given me an opportunity. I'm also secretary to our Muslim Council. I'm the only woman who is the secretary, and I'm with the men. So that makes me happy too.
I love to take this opportunity to thank our President, Yoweri Kaguta Turihabura Museveni, by coming up with a Emyoga program. We started in 2021 as Kasumi Parish Carpenters Emyoga Circle. When we received this amount of 30 million, we had a problem, we had a challenge of machines. We used to carry our wood and we would carry it up to Waise to be worked on. So when we got this chance, we are able to buy machines to ease our work of carpentry. At the moment, we are a number composed of 140 members. We have the women who come in and do saloon chairs. We have the men doing 3-drawer tables, 2-drawer tables, and different kind of furniture. Before the Emyoga program came in, we had a lot of crimes taking place on this road. When this Emyoga program came up, we managed to collect these youths. We gave them hope that you can change from stealing, and we can give you skill so that you be someone in the society that will even help another person.
Kansoke ddala okwebaza omukulembeze w'eggwanga olw'emirimu emirungi gy'ataddemu ngaffe abavubuka. Nze nno nze omu ku abo abaabeeranga ku kkubo okwo emisana n'ekiro, ng'oluusi olw'okuba naffe tunoonya ekyokulya nga gwa kiyina oba mmwe twakiyitanga b'amalala bagenda beerabisa nga tubagwamu munnange era nga tuba tulina obikuggyako naffe ne tubaawo. Naye munnange neebaza chairman wange wa wano yankwatako nno wamu ne bannange twatandika okukozesa mashini zino, tandika okuwawula, okulanda, okukola design, emmeeza zino tuzifulumya, entebe bwe ziti. Tulina emirimu gye tutandikirako emyangu okugeza ng'okufulumya obumotoka buno. Kano akamotoka n'omwana omuto w'emyaka 5 akafulumya. Bw'ova mu kufulumya akamotoka kano owawula, okukwata oluwawu n'owawula emmeeza ng'eno n'ebeera smooth. Oluvaawo nga bakutwala ku mashini eno olubaawo lukolebwa oti bwe ntyo ndi wa mukisa byonna saabisasulira. Najja wano ne baŋŋamba President Museveni bino ebyuma yabituwa. Byammwe mulina okuba nga mubikozesa. Omukisa ne ngutwala. Era neebaza kuba kati ne bwe mba nvudde wano ne ŋŋenda ewalala. Ne bwe ŋŋenda Sudan nsobola okusigala nga ndi mu mulimu gwe gumu ogw'obubazzi ne gumbeezaawo wamu ne famire yange. Ku saving wange bimu ku byentereka bwe bampa akasente kange nfulumya emmeza yange eno bino kiri wano si kya kiyamaani waffe nedda wano tulinawo itemu zaffe kati ku ssaawa eno zonjogera wano ninawo emmeeza ezange 5 n'entebe 12 ezitambulira ku mmeeza ezo nga zange era nga zo ne baba zituuze wali sente baziwanze oluusi emirimu n'emirala ne gijja ne bagala twafunye omulimu guti mujje mufulumye entebe wano zobwe zitimuga kukola sente bwe kityo emyoga gino kuba nagyegattako bingi byenfunye edda nze nalinga sisobola kusasula nnyumba gye mbeeramu era nja kunoonya gye ŋŋenda okusula mu mifulejje era eyo mifulejje gye ŋŋenda okusanga ote oli ajja atamidde nga ye ate alina n'essimu gy'amulisa kale ebintu ng'ebyo nze kati ninawe nsula era saawa weziwera nti zino saawa zakwebaka olwo nga nsimbula nga ŋŋenda neebaka nawasa tadde n'abaana nno munnange sebo kulembeze weebale bageto yuti mwenna gye muli wabweru eyo temutya temwerumaluma nkata temudda mu biki temulobera mu projekiti za gavumenti kuba zino projekiti ziriwo kutuyamba ffe zaffe zirina kutuyimusa kututeeka ku ddaala ddala bwe lwonazoberamu abalala bazeegaseemu ffe nga tukola ki bwebiba bwe bityo.
Because of this Emyoga program, we have been able to pick such different youth, mentor them, we train them. After learning, they also go up even start their businesses. We have people buying from us, schools, we have factories, companies. They come and give us very juicy contracts. And out of that, that's how we've managed to accumulate this amount of saving of 70 million. So I would love to thank the President of Uganda that because of the Emyoga program, we've done what they call mindset change. Those who used to think of going for prostitution, we've captured them and changed their mind. They are here trying to do work, trying to get skills. Those used to steal, they are also here trying to get skills. We have been job seekers, but now we are no longer job seekers. We are job creators.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
The government's commandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
Why do you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers? You bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
The project began in 2021.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning once again. Thank you so much for choosing to watch UBC TV here to inspire you. And it's time for us to delve into those conversations that matter to you, to us, and to every individual at a personal level. Some of these we cannot not make the mistake of skipping matters, minimum wage, workers' pay, welfare, especially the women, given that it's Women's Month, and that is a conversation we'll be delving deeper into. But for now, let us just talk more about the minimum wage and focusing on the minimum wage bill that we talked about yesterday. But to elaborate more on it, Honorable Alinaitwera Kajara, the Workers' MP in Parliament, over the weekend stated that he is retabling the minimum wage bill. This is a bill he first retabled in the year 2013, and it was passed by Parliament in the year 2019, but was rejected by the President thereon, and he chose that he is coming back to retable it and push for it, and to especially convince the President on the importance of the minimum wage bill. Now, one of the reasons the President rejected it, he instead advised on that note. He advised that instead workers' MPs and trade unions should encourage investors, should attract investors to flock in Uganda, which ultimately creates more employment opportunities for Ugandans. However, Honorable Rakajara's argument is that the minimum wage could rather be dealt with in sectors as opposed to a broader spectrum of the minimum wage for all Ugandans in the workspace. He instead advised that it should be dealt with from sector perspective. Now, Robert Chirabo is with me for us to throw more light and perspective on that. And yesterday, Chirabo, in fact, was hinted on the part of sectors which I'd like for him to throw more light on in regards to how the minimum wage can be dealt with sector by sector.
Well, thank you so much. I'm also very excited because I'm told the National Secretary, Uganda Nurses and Midwifery Association Union, Annette Birungi, will be joining us very shortly. Now, the President talked about trade unions, of which the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union is a trade union. So, and she's been doing so much advocacy as far as workers' rights and welfare is concerned, and among which is the minimum wage. Now, it's very important to note that if you are to look at a country minimum wage, sometimes it's hard to implement it because that will mean that the lowest you can pay your worker. Now, certainly that could also be exploitive. For example, if we say we are going to put it at let's use 135,000 that was stated or had been recommended. Then I may even hire a journalist and say legally I'm not paying you below the bar because that is the minimum.
And within that threshold.
And within the threshold. But when we go to sector and we say maybe the least a journalist can earn maybe is 600 net.
That's too little, but that's an example.
A minimum, because you see, minimum will mean that you don't have to go below that.
Below that, yes.
If you're to have a media house, if you're to hire a journalist, you don't have to go below that. So you're either in business or leave it to those that can afford it. So that will safeguard the workers. But a blanket minimum wage is very exploitive to some professions. 130,000 could be okay for housemaid. But 130,000 may not be okay for professional. For the informal sector, it could work maybe. But professional work, it may be very exploitive because I'll say the law says this is the least I should pay you. And brother or sister, I'm not paying you below, there's nothing illegal I'm doing. So that's why I'm also advocating for sector by sector minimum wage as the best way to go.
All right. Thank you very much, Robert, for that. And on that note, we'll actually take the turn to discuss that in the facet and advantage of women. So allow us to take a short break. And when we get back, we will be back with a lady, the General Secretary for the Nurses and Midwives Union, to talk more about women in the workplace. And the minimum wage will also be discussed. So stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge. These are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house,
apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Welcome back from that break, and like we promised, we would be having a conversation on women's welfare in the places of work, and having the guest as the General Secretary of Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union. Well, we have not disappointed, because it's exactly what we are going to do. Good morning, Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantabamusisi, and given that it's Women's Month this March, we have been looking at most matters women in this time of the agenda. And today in particular, we are focusing on policies and initiatives that could impact the welfare of female employees in the places of work. And with me in studio is Birungi Annette, who is the General Secretary of the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association. Good morning, Annette.
Good morning. Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. It's good to have you.
Oh, thank you. I'm also happy to be here.
Yes, please. How is the Uganda National Nurses and Midwives Association?
Actually, it is a union.
Yes.
There is a difference between a union
Pardon me.
and
Yes, it is a union.
Yes, and association. So, Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, we are quite okay. Yeah. Trying to work to save mothers and children, to save lives of people in the communities. So, yeah.
How long have you been in the field of nursing and midwifery?
Around 18 years now. Yes, I've been working as a leader of the nurses, but also working in the hospitals. I've worked in a health center. I've also worked in Mulago National Referral Hospital. But today I resigned my job in 2020. Yes, when I wanted to stand as a member of parliament, and I now purely work as an activist, as a leader.
A leader.
Yes.
Now let's first look away from your leadership roles. As someone who has been working in the field, what challenges have you faced as a woman?
The challenges are enormous. Like, for example, if I'm to talk about nurses and the midwives in this country, we are the majority. We have a number of, we are like 95%, I can say, the nurses and midwives fraternity. The 95% are women, and the only 5% are male nurses. But you find that the leadership itself is taken up by that 5%. So when we go for elections to see that women are in leadership, you find that the male are the majority. So that tells you that women are not empowered. They are not confident enough to be in those positions. So it's a big challenge. But also it starts from up. If you go to Ministry of Health, you find that all directors are men. So we would also like to find that we have some directors who are female and also directors who are male. I'll talk more about leadership. If you go to Health Service Commission, of recent, it is when the President has seen it and decided to give the Vice Chairperson of Health Service Commission to be a female. I want to thank him for that because he picked someone from way away from here, from Rukunjiji, and she's now, Madame Christine, she's now the Vice Chairperson of Health Service Commission. But you remember, when we are being interviewed, you find that actually, because health today, the nurses and the midwives, we are the majority. We are like 75% in the health sector. But now, if you have like one female nurse on the whole board, it's also still a challenge because the person can, one day, one time, if you are sick, if that person is sick, it means that the whole board, the issues of the nurses and midwives will not be well addressed. Yeah. So we still need more nurses on those boards. We need nurses in ministries, and some of the challenges also, on the wards, the nurses work very hard, but the doctors are more paid than the nurses. And you find the doctors cannot work alone, definitely. But because they are the ones in maybe in positions of planning, in positions of budgeting, you will find that even the money that is supposed to be allocated in the Ministry of Health, it will call for few big positions for the nurses and then call for many positions for the doctors. So we have been just talking about it, trying to push to see how can those nurses and midwives take leadership positions.
Yes. This Women's Month, it's still on, and today in particular we are discussing the welfare of women in their places of work. And with me is Birungi Annette, who is the General Secretary of the Ugandan Nurses and Midwives Union, having this conversation. And she did actually state at the start that she is aspiring to be the Workers' MP representative in the upcoming Parliament. Now, if you want to be a part of the conversation, do send your WhatsApp message to 0709-602-592. If you have a question for her, a suggestion, an opinion to state, feel free to send it on there. And starting with that very fact that you are aspiring to be the MP for workers' representatives in the upcoming Parliament, how do you plan to ensure that women have equal representation? You've stated the challenges, but what do you have in mind, or what do you plan as a manifesto to, when the moment you get into that position, to address equal representation in the workplace, particularly in leadership and decision-making roles?
One of the things that we need to appreciate as Ugandans is that we have the labor laws. We have the labor laws, but sometimes we find that the employers actually are not respecting them. They are not, they have no interest about those labor laws, so the workers are not they are not happy. They are working, the laws are there, but they are not implemented. So the policies are also, they need also to be reviewed. We need to sit together and see, you know, as trade unionists, there must be a relationship between employer and employee relationship. But very many workplaces, they don't want that freedom of joining unions. You find that if you join a union and you are an employee, you join a union, the employer try to look for you to see how to even chase you out of the job. So we were, as Birungi, I have been in labor movement for almost now 15 years, and I have seen that people are not members. So I want to help unions to make sure that the employees join unions, because the law is already there. You have a right to join any union of your choice, association. So you have a right to associate. But you find that many workers are not sensitized. So you find that you are fearing, even here in UBC, you might find that you feel you want to join a union, but you fear. So I want to make sure people recognize their rights. So, and that will come up when I'm given that opportunity to make sure that those regulations are reviewed, and then supervision to see what are those, to recognize, to look at those organizations that are actually, that don't embrace trade union, that they don't embrace freedom, and we see what we can do for them. Otherwise, for me as a leader who have been, actually I didn't tell you, I'm I'm the secretary for women at National Organization of Trade Union. So I sit on the board of NOTU, and we've been trying to see, as a committee of women, we've been trying to see how to work hand in hand with the National Women Council. I am sure I've never seen the National Women Council trying to work with these trade union leaders to see how we can come together and at least try to discuss issues affecting women. So we want to unite as all we want to unite. I want to make sure I unite all those organizations that are empowering women. We work together. I don't see how the trade union in this country work together with those organizations. So if we were sitting together like once in a year or twice a year, maybe that would have helped us. But also the policies, those policies, if they continue remaining in the cupboards, that is why you find that we are not empowered. So women need to be trained. If the budgets need to be improved, we have to look at the girl child. So we need to, if you are not working together, you will think that actually you are doing well, but when actually there are some women who are left behind. Like I can tell you that in this country we have a group of women, we have a group of workers league, NRM workers league, but I've never seen any program that is targeting those NRM workers league, 5 in every district. So I would like to say that we need to empower everyone. So on the case of women, we can look for those women in those leagues. It means that you have to check everywhere and you see which group is left behind. If you don't look for those groups, you will find that you think that you are actually working, but you are not reaching somewhere, women counselors and so on. So that is one of the things that I think if I'm given an opportunity, I would look for those women counselors, I look for those workers league in particular, I try to ask them what are their issues. But I know the issues affecting the women are many and they are everywhere, but if you don't particularly look for a group and try to bring it up, it means that you are not strategic enough. So I want to look at those strategies of how we can advocate, how we can advocate for their rights in all groups and in all workplaces.
Thank you very much for that. Birungi Annette is with me in studio, and we're discussing the welfare of women, especially in places of work, and particularly looking at the direction of policies and initiatives that could impact this for a woman in her place of work. 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number to which you can send your contribution to. Now, sticking with matters policies, you did share that an example that, like in hospitals, nurses help doctors and they work longer hours even more than the doctors, yet they get less pay. And you've talked about the different challenges that we face as women. I mean, in spaces of work, there's mental health that is not addressed for women, work-family balance that is never addressed, and yet we have to also be in the field to make sure that we sit at the table. But all of this comes still with little pay and little resources for women. So how do you plan to address the what policies do you have in mind that should address and advocate for to address the gender gap when it comes to payment?
With payments, of course, we have to look at gender equality. Some of the people, you find that they cannot access, some women cannot access jobs. And the male, they access, they have more opportunities than female. And what has also caused another danger is you find that the women also fear themselves.
Yes,
so they need to be trained and on how to look for opportunities and also how to come out and be in positions of decision making. So if you find that you are a woman and you have not worked on yourself, you qualified, you have a certificate, but you cannot go for a diploma, you cannot go for a degree, you will keep in one place, and also that affects your pay. But also, I want to tell the people outside there that there is a lot of violence against women. Women, sometimes at work, you find that even your boss, the boss himself, he will torture you mentally. You will be there, it is time for going back home, and the boss is bringing a document that please work on this. It's already time. And he can even tell you that I will need it before the close of the, before 5 or before 6 or even before tomorrow. He will direct you. So you start wondering how you will balance the work, because you will leave late, and also at the same time, tomorrow you have to wake up early. So we need your support, men. We need you not to use your positions to actually harass us mentally. We need to look at those small things that make the women tortured. We need to be happy at work. If you are not happy, there is no productivity. For me, when you look at the issue of for example, maternity leave, there are so many people who go for maternity, and after going for maternity, they lose their jobs. You can imagine. So there must be strict policies and implementation of those policies in all workplaces. Ministry of Gender Labour has a lot to do. The women councils, they have a lot to do to supervise those organizations, to look for to look for those strategies on how you can actually get to know what is happening in which organization. People are sitting on so many problems. Women, they fear that if they report, they will lose their jobs. So I think if I am given that opportunity, I will make sure that I work with the Ministry of Gender, I work with women, with National Women Councils, Women Council, to see that at least everything that is there, to see that there are means of how we can get feedback about what is happening in these workplaces, because there is a lot. There is actually a lot that we don't know, but we need to look for how to get there
I indeed agree with you that a lot takes place behind the scenes that is never addressed, or there are, should we call them secret, open secrets that usually take place in spaces of work, and usually takes paying attention to detail. Now, thank you so much for your comments that are coming through, 0709602592. And going into the direction of nursing, somebody here, Don Valley, says, with the new S4 curriculum, are we continuing with the certificate in nursing and midwifery? If yes, how are the tutors and schools prepared? All right. Perhaps you should answer them in a second.
By the way, for us as Uganda nurses and midwives, we had even, we were trying to see how we can, how the government can scrap the people joining S4. Because you see, when we negotiated for salary increment, we realized later that the majority of the nurses, they did actually not, they were not empowered economically. And these are women. Because you see, if you have finished certificate, I will not go there that side of the curriculum and so on. But I'm now encouraging the nurses to actually continue and finish senior 6. The students, the students outside there, it's important to finish senior 6 and then you go for a diploma or a degree. Those certificate nurses, the government want to employ those ones. And when they employ them, that's why when they employ them, the economic empowerment now, the pocket, the wages, the majority have that, they get that small salary. So when we negotiated for salary increment, we realized that almost 70% got 1 million. And yet we thought that, we didn't take into consideration of how many people are going to get less money. So these people who finish S4 and they go for that certificate in road nursing, it is something that you will keep on having very little money. If you go for a diploma, now I'm advising you, if you go for a diploma, that means you will be able to get more than 2 million. But now if you go for that certificate, you can see the difference. So the majority of the nurses are not happy there, and the taxes, they also tax that money. So you find that the majority have not been empowered economically, and those are women. So I want to say, yes, the curriculum is going to work. It is a new curriculum, but we also want to scrap that S4 so that people are able to improve in the health, so that they are empowered, and when you have good money, you can at least educate your child. Now look at that 1 million and also think about how you are going to pay for your child. We have to advocate for minimum wage. In fact, I had not talked about minimum wage.
Yes, in fact, let's talk about that.
Yes, minimum wage. It is disturbing us. Yes. Like now, if you find someone earning that 1 million, and then there is another person who is earning 200,000 working in a supermarket. So, and these supermarkets are so many, shops are so many. So if you are making that, if you are getting that 200, you have to get transport on that money. You have to get rent on that money. You have to pay school fees for that. So you find that people are really they are living under the standards. So there are so many people suffering. We have to come together as workers MPs. All of them, workers leaders. Me, I'm not yet MP, but I'm a leader. I'm advocating for minimum wage because I know that if you are earning that 200, if you're earning 100,000, if you're earning below 500, there's no way you can. Even the 1 million people are crying. Because by the time you finish, for example, a month, you're already indebted. You have very many debts. And some people also use that money, they go and they get a loan. So I want to call for members of parliament that this thing is affecting our relatives. The salaries we are getting are very small, and we need to see what solutions can we do. Don't see people seated there and you think that they are happy. People are not happy.
And speaking of solutions, still in regards to the minimum wage, when it was first tabled in 2013 and passed in 2019. At that time, the president of Uganda advised that he rejected the bill first and foremost. It wasn't passed into a law, but he also advised that workers, MPs, and trade unions should encourage investors to come into the country, attract investors, so that more employment opportunities are created. That whatever was with the workers, the minimum wage bill, would scare away investors. So how would you advise the balance to take shape? While, like you've stated, that Ugandans' relatives are really suffering, 200,000 being paid to someone cannot finish it all. And yet at the same time, we also need the employment opportunities in the country for Ugandans to be employed. So as a leader, how would the balance be struck?
But when I look at that minimum wage, and I look at what the president said, I think the president wanted enough information. The workers MPs need to sit down, they need to benchmark, they need to give enough information to the president. Because that is their work. They are representatives of the workers. They know what they can do so that the minimum wage is implemented. If you bring work to the president which is not well researched, do not expect him to pass this minimum wage. I know that there are so many bills which have been passed, and they pass because of enough research, enough explanation, and good examples. The people should have told the president about actually how they can safeguard these investors. He wanted that part. How can the investor be safe, and how can these employees also be safe? And the government economy. So when actually, for me, I just think they gave up, and the president didn't stop. He didn't announce that I have stopped. But that is something that when I'm given an opportunity, actually that is what I can start on, because I know that once you concentrate on something, you cannot fail to pass it in this country. But people, when they hear that the president has say that take back the bill, they just give up. No, the president is actually saying that you go and research enough. Research and see how we can do with this, because he also saw a danger. So he wanted the workers MPs to sit on that bill and do much, but I've never seen it again discussed. So it is something that we need to work on very closely and see that if it is to be implemented, because it is affecting all of us, then what can we do? That is something that we need to work on.
Very well, thank you. 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number to which you can send your message. And I think you actually answer Bry's question, because he's asking, as a leader of a union organization, can you tell us about minimum wage? Do you support it or not? Good morning, Uganda. And she has clearly stated that she does support Ugandans to have a minimum wage, and she looks forward to actually having that conversation with the president with well-researched data on how the balance can be stricken for investors as well as Ugandans being protected as ones being employed by investors. Good morning and happy Women's Month. I'm Dennis from Ginger. I would like to ask Honorable Birungi, is it true that, beg your pardon, okay, I think it's something that would be stripped, is going to be stripped of. Greetings to my former boss. This one's actually under your leadership. This is Dennis. Dennis, I beg for clarity on your question so that I'm able to deliver it with clarity to Ms. Birungi. One last one. Hello, I am Sarah from Kasanja. Since we are on issues of women's work, I'm asking other than women who work but housewives who have nothing to do, would they be advocated for? Very interesting perspective. This is Sarah from Kasanja. Let's talk about that. As someone in the workspace, leading women in a place of leadership, and in case you get that opportunity to represent workers, would housewives be advocated for?
Yes, yes. Like, for example, for me, I think the workers of this country, the MPs, they have to look for those programs which are targeting housewives. Housewives are in the community. And they need, we have a union of domestic workers. It is there. So if you decide to work with all unions, like, you know, unions have, I can say they have all the professions. So it means that you have, as MPs, you need to work with those unions. So if there is already a union of domestic workers, why can't you at least try to see which group can I work, who are these people that can work with them? Because that some of them, those are actually, we include also housemaids. But the woman who is not working, who is at home, can still come for the workshop. It doesn't matter. And you go through that union. They will know how to organize all of them, and they come together. Some of them, they need leadership also. They need leadership programs. Like some time back, actually 2 years ago, I started a cooperative for the workers of this country. I was looking at saving together. I was looking at how can we have people working together and saving together and investing together. That would mean that you would find someone who is a housewife also saving 1,000 or 5,000. So I was looking at bringing people together. Those are programs. We have to look for programs of how we bring people together, depending, actually not leaving out some, not to discriminate everybody, but you look at, sleep and start thinking about how can I reach everyone down there. Like I have already told you, NRM helped us to bring Workers' League. It means that every district we already have leaders. So the 5 can also organize those districts leaders and also district women and see how they can work with women councils in parishes and in districts. It can work like that. Structures help us a lot, but it depends. Some people concentrate on only Kampala. These unions are in Kampala. I want to tell you. For me, I come from Kabale. I'm the vice chairperson of NRM, Kabale Workers' League. But I know that I've never seen the workers MPs trying to say that this is a program which they have lobbied in government to target those women in Workers' League. I've never seen it. And not only women, the workers' leagues. So the government has already arranged very well the structures of leadership. But what are we doing as workers' leaders to go down there and look for that worker that actually is down working as a sweeper, working in the garden, working as a farmer, working in horticulture, and so on and so on. In plantation, tea plantation, and so on. So we only have, actually, we usually see them very, very active when it is time for elections. So I want to change that.
A very interesting observation. And as we start to bring this to a close, Annette, there is the elephant in the room for every woman out there, and that is sexual harassment. So how can the law be strengthened to protect women from sexual harassment in their places of work? And this should also be as your parting shot. Okay, the laws, we have Convention 190 that talks about actually prevention of harassment at work. And Uganda is one of the countries which actually embraced it. And I think it has to come up with policies. The laws, the policies, the guidelines at work. If they are not implemented, there is no way you will expect an employer to respect those policies. So there is a lot for Ministry of Health to, Ministry of Labour to do, and there is also a lot for the workers MPs in particular. And all of us in the community and the MDs and so on, we need to look at how can a woman be mentally, physically fit. You are not there, you are at work, but someone is harassing you sexually. You are at work, but you have no way how you can report. There must be a way of how you can report, and maybe these cameras have to be everywhere for safety and security. Yes. Because sometimes you find that you cannot talk, but the camera will report, and that will help you. So we want to advocate for cameras, we want to advocate for public
telephones, so that at least sexual harassment is controlled and prevented and stopped. I want to tell the nurses, of course I'm from nursing fraternity, that we as women, we need to continue looking for leadership positions. I have been telling women that when you look at affirmative action, there are 5 MPs. If there are 5 MPs, we need to be having at least female 2 workers for female. So workers female, they should be 2. But now we have 1. So that is already cheating. It is injustice. So they put 5, but now the 3, the 4 all, we compete here and also we compete on this one. So it is important that now here these 2 are reserved for female and then the 4, the female also go and participate there. So if you can give us, if you can be like the president of this country and you give us 3 women and then you have 2 male, you will have more support and empowerment. But now, if you continue just voting men, you women themselves, you are in 1 minute, the ones again who are empowering the ones.
Speaking of the election, in 1 minute, somebody says that he's called Alex from Rukunjiri, and he says that you are very competent and approved to be MP for workers in Uganda, and you are the cure for all workers in Uganda. So as we close, finally, talk about you contesting as the workers MP.
Yes, I've been in labor movement, like I told you, for 15 years, and I've been a leader. I was a youth secretary. I am now the secretary for women, not to. I am the board member, National Social Security Fund. I've been in leadership. So I know that if I'm empowered, if I'm given an opportunity, I will serve the country very well. I will make sure I lobby for the workers. I will make sure I participate in policies. I will make sure I see those people down there who are suffering. I'm actually
very detailed at that, to the dot. Thank you so much, Birungi.
I'm also coming for the workers' flag.
Yes. Thank you so much, Annette, for
NRM
that conversation. Thank you for your aspirations, very inspiring at that. And thank you, too, for being a part of this conversation of the agenda as we've understood from the direction of policies and welfare of women in the spaces of work. Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for being a part of UBC TV and the show.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.